They're very humble people. They're very willing to help with a lot of things. They're very open. They're kind. Growing up in the States, you kind of see this all the time about Islam in the news, and it's very negative. But that's by far the wrong thing. It's completely opposite. When you get to Malaysia, they're very peaceful, very nice people. They're not contentious in any way. They're very fun. You can have a conversation with any of them, and they'll just start giggling. They love the fact that if they see a foreigner speaking Malay, they're like, they just get very enthused and very excited that someone's actually learning their language and wanting to know more about them. And I remember one time I didn't have enough money, or I had the wrong type of bill. So I had like a 50 ringgit, and he wanted small change for the meal. I bought some roti, and it was like 3 ringgit or something like that, and I didn't have the proper change. And he's like, "Oh, you know what? That's fine. Just come back and pay it tomorrow." They're very trusting. They're very loving people. They respect their elders. And so when you're talking to someone older than you, you just speak politely. Also, if you're sitting across, this goes for basically anyone, Malay or Iban. If you're sitting on the ground across from someone, you don't point your feet at them. You sit sideways, you point your feet away or behind you. Whenever they greet you, they'll shake your hand and then they'll touch their chest. It's like, "I receive you." And it's very, I don't know how to say it. It's just a very nice gesture that they are willing to, be like, "Okay, you know what? I met you, and you're a very nice person. I'm accepting of you." They do their fasting, and sometimes it's good to observe that as well. They appreciate it if you respect that. Not that you have to be like fasting as well. Also, whenever like at nighttime, they'll be buying their food, so restaurants and things get quite packed, and that's just a thing, just not to lose your patience. They're showing their religious devotion by not eating, by fasting, and so they're allowed to eat now, so they're all going out. You find Ibans in East Malaysia. Have you ever heard of headhunters? They were like this tribal thing. They would go out, and the tribe next to them, they would go chop off heads as a rite of passage, or things like that. That's where they are. When you hear headhunter, it's usually like an Iban. They have the same thing in the Philippines, but they have headhunters. Those are them. So like you could go, they're the native people, Ibans are, at least for East Malaysia. And you could go to the longhouses, which is just a gigantic long cabin. They have sectioned off rooms for their own individual houses, but they'd have one long section, community kind of section that they'd all get together. You can go there and you could see skulls that they would have hanging on the ceiling. They'd have like a basket full of them. That was their culture. Back then they would have long swords. They'd have these thin wooden shields. They didn't have a lot of work, so they'd move out from deep in, the country, in the jungle, to out to more civilized, more developed places, and they would try and find work there. And there was, there's more than just Ibans. There was Malays, there was Indonesians, there was Chinese, there were Indians, like Tamils, there were Sri Lankans, and there was even expats there. Miri was a big oil drilling place. There was lots of drills out in the coast. Borneo is its own little island, and it's separated into 2 sections. One is actually part of Indonesia. Borneo was Indonesia, I believe. Someone should correct me if I'm wrong, but it started out as Indonesia, but then part of it became East Malaysia. That's where the Ibans are from. There's a lot of things on the island of Borneo. A lot of Indonesians. There's just a lot there. There was several different types of food coming from different cultures. One of my favorite was curry mee. It was curry soup with noodles in it. It had bean sprouts and strips of chicken or beef, whatever you wanted in it, really. So curry mee was my favorite. They had kind of like a tortilla thing that we called a roti canai. Yeah, basically like a tortilla, but it was a little softer, a little crunchier. And you would rip that up, and then you dip it in a curry. This is more of an Indian dish. I typically had it with dal curry, which is like a vegetable-based curry. They have roti canai with bananas in it. They would put these bananas in, and then they would have sweetened condensed milk that they would pour over it, more of a dessert. That was super good. Tandoori chicken was a good one. Any meat always had the bones on it. They believed that the bones kind of added flavor. But this chicken, you get like a drumstick or something, and it would just be bright red. from the seasoning and stuff that they put it on. Tandoori chicken is very spicy, it's very good Indian dish. There's just lots and lots of curry. I was on a fried rice kick for a long time, probably because of the MSG or something. It was amazing. I never thought fried rice would be good. You go to like a Chinese restaurant here and it's okay, but you get it there and it's like, oh my gosh. Laksa was a Malay dish. It was traditional. It was more of like a tofu and fish type of curry soup. You'd always have just like a plate of white rice and then a little thing of chicken. Sometimes they'd have it wrapped up in banana leaves so you could take it on the go. You'd always go to these hawker stalls and they would be selling curry puffs. It's just like a large pizza roll, hot pocket kind of thing with curry in it. It was super good. I liked those a lot. They had a lot of weird fruit. Rambutan was one. Rambutan is a red fruit that's hairy. Rambut means hair, so rambutan is just like a hairy fruit. You peel it and it'd be like this. It looked like a white glass marble. It's just like this little round thing, like a grape. Sorry, I don't know why I said glass marble, like a grape. They had star fruit, which looked like a star, the little kitty 5-point star that you would draw on your paper. It looked like that, and they chop it in half, give you a slice, kind of tasted like an apple. A lot of papaya. Mangoes there were amazing. They didn't have they weren't like the Mexican mangoes. They were Thai mangoes, the red ones, or not the red ones, the yellow ones that kind of look like a rhino horn or something. They looped up. They were really good. I mean, that was my favorite by far was mango. They had mangosteen. It's a red fruit, but you have to peel it open and it's got this white inside. That's the fruit that you want, and it's kind of got the consistency of a marshmallow, and it's super sweet. You just have to be careful whenever you peel it open because the red pulp on the outside stains very easily. Like your fingers will be stained red for a couple days.